It's a Toyota front row lockout in the final qualifying session of 2024. Brendon Hartley from the number 8 TGR took pole position in front of his sister car teammate Nick de Vries in the number 7. The fight for the manufacturers and the Drivers' Championship will continue on to tomorrow. We spoke to both of them about their respective qualifying sessions, as well as speaking to WEC TV's very own co-commentator Graham Goodwin with all of the analysis that you need to know ahead of tomorrow's big race. Brendon, congratulations. Pole position for the TotalEnergies 8 Hours of Bahrain.
Thanks, yeah.
I mean, what a lap, first and foremost. It was a real improvement from that first qualifying session as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it felt great. Q1, I didn't get the tyre warm up right. I had the tyres too cold starting the lap. Made a mistake in turn 2, scrappy last sector, so I knew there was more time in it. And Hyperpole came alive. Got all the settings right on the car, so that's also a big thanks to the team. Got the tyre prep. Was pretty spot on, and it was a tidy lap. I was pretty proud of that one, and it was a big turnaround from yesterday. We weren't happy on our car yesterday. We changed a few things, changed a few parts actually. So to come out swinging today and finish the season with a pole position feels great. Obviously now we'd love to convert to a win. It's not going to be easy. Porsche looked very quick in free practice, so I think we can kind of forget about the result of qualifying now going into the race. But yeah, and it's been a rough year for us. We really want to finish on a high. You know, after Fuji, we felt like we had a chance to win. We took a penalty, a safety car at the wrong moment. Austin as well. It's just been a rough year, so we'd love to go into the summer break for me. I'll go home to New Zealand. We'd just love to finish on a high after a rough year for our car.
Well, did you have conversations coming into this qualifying session, because the number 7 is still in the Drivers' Championship fight? Was it ever on your mind the fact that they needed that point for that Drivers' Championship, or was ultimately it was just a matter of getting a Toyota with the name of the manufacturers on the line?
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is you can't, I'm sure they wanted the pole position. Well, I'm not going to say more than us because I also wanted to be on pole, but I think you can't orchestrate that. If I'm going to back off, we don't know if we're going to be P8 and P9 or out of the Hyperpole. The gap was actually a surprise, but around here it's so crucial to get the tyres perfectly in the window for one lap. I mean, we have massive deck here after, which I think we managed to do today. There's no way we could orchestrate reversing that order. I mean, we can already be incredibly happy that we get to lock out the front row and make it hard for Porsche tomorrow.
Well, you were just talking just then about getting the tyres into the right window. For those who aren't quite so familiar with basically what that means, can you explain it a little bit, kind of what you're doing?
I mean, particularly now we start from cold tyres, so there's no tyre warmers, and the tyres operate in a pretty small window of temperature. In the race, they get hotter and hotter and actually start to move around. You lose grip. But for one lap in qualifying, there's a bit of a sweet spot. It's different from the front and the rear, together with pressures. There's something called carcass temperature, which is actually the temperature of the sidewall, let's say, versus the surface temp. So getting all those things right, you can extract so much more potential for one lap. And the race is a different story. You know, it stabilizes. You're going to see us driving 4 or 5 seconds slower in the race. There's a massive amount of degradation here. The track's got a rough surface. I'm talking way too much now, maybe getting more so complex.
No,
but my point is, it's a lot of fine details to get the tyres perfectly in that sweet spot for one lap. And I think today we nailed it as a team, and the car felt great. And there's always a lot of pressure doing qualifying, but it's a great feeling when you get to stand on P1 and you get to feel that car at the ultimate performance that it has.
Well, you mentioned the team just then as well. You guys are basically the most successful team here in Bahrain. You have a lot more knowledge and experience of this track than the likes of Porsche and the Ferrari hypercars. Do you feel like that is helping you coming into a weekend like this?
Last year, a lot more, but
they're catching up.
Yeah, I mean, I would say before coming to this weekend, we were thinking we might have an advantage. We've been quite good on side degradation, but looking at FP2 and 1 yesterday, the Porsche was flying. They've made huge progress over the last year. They're obviously not sitting around doing nothing. They're working very hard. So their level of progress, in theory, is a bit steeper than ours, being here so long and without a gap. And they've made big progress this year. They've been an incredible challenger. And both drivers and manufacturers' title is still up to grabs. The drivers not for us, but we're desperate to try and be ahead and spoil their joy a bit. You know, they won an IMSA. They won the GT. They won Formula E as well. So we'd love to just at least take the
Porsche party.
Yeah, we want to spoil the Porsche party, yeah.
And finally, looking ahead to tomorrow, how much of it is the manufacturers on the mind? Is it just about taking the win, or if ultimately things go wrong, as they can do in endurance racing, is it about setting up yourselves in the best possible position to take that manufacturer's title?
Definitely the manufacturer's title is the highest priority, but basically if we win the race, we take the manufacturer's title. So as drivers, I think we're focused on that.
Yeah.
Of course, if a lot of things happen in the race, then I guess your question is, are we going to be taking it easy just to be in front of the Porsche? I think that's not going to be possible because they're going to be pushing us very hard, and after free practice I think they even have a bit more pace. So I think we're going to have to put everything together to beat them, and it's going to be a big fight.
You looking forward to it?
I am, yeah. I'm up for it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Brendon.
Cheers.
Good luck, mate.
Thank you.
I'm all right, thank you.
Go on, talk me through that lap. How was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, Brendon did a great job. It's been a great result for the team to lock out the front row. I think I did a decent lap in qualifying that put us through to Hyperpole, and in Hyperpole I just didn't quite put it together. It wasn't as tidy, but overall great result for the team, and a little bit as a surprise. We weren't that confident going into qualifying.
Really?
No, FP3 put us off a little bit, but yeah, let's see. It's going to be a very long race with different tire choices to be made. This track has a lot of degradation, so it's going to be a tough one, but at least we put ourselves in the best position to fight for it tomorrow.
Well, as soon as you got out the car, I saw you. You literally were straight to the pit wall, talking with your team. What was going through your mind at the end of that lap? Was it almost a disappointment not taking pole? Pleased with how you did?
Yes, of course. I mean, I'm critical of myself, and I think I did a good qualifying. It was a solid session, but in that last lap, when it mattered, I didn't quite put it together. So we were just discussing, what happened and what I did and what I didn't do right. So that was it. But overall, a good result for the team, and I'm very happy to, again, put ourselves in the best possible position for tomorrow.
Well, we have to look at tomorrow, and of course both championships which you're still involved in. I suppose one of the biggest wins for you guys, number 6 didn't take pole, you're still involved in the drivers, now working with the number 8. Is it for you guys looking to take the win and hopefully trying to secure that drivers, or is it all about the team effort and the manufacturers now?
I don't really think it's one or the other. It's obviously, it goes hand in hand, and I think it's important to at least try and win the race with one car to secure the manufacturers, and yeah, if we can, it would be nice to secure ours, and then fingers crossed, something comes our way. But we focus on ourselves. We try to execute a good race, and yeah, time will tell.
And for anyone who's going to be watching along with the race tomorrow, can you tell us kind of what we can expect? What are going to be the challenges for you guys? Tire deck, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's all about that, really. We saw quite big deltas in practice. Quite hard to read, who is doing what and who is strong and who is not. But we at least according to our analysis, Porsche looks extremely strong on the long run. So they are our main competitors. So let's see.
Actually, one thing that's just crossed my mind. Obviously, when I spoke to Brendon earlier, he was saying about the fact that it's nice coming here. Toyota has so much experience around this track. It's quite impressive for you that this is your first year with the team here, and they've asked you to do the qualifying lap. Do you feel particularly confident around this circuit?
Not really, but when I came to the same simulator, I was told I had to do quali, so it was mine this time.
But did you find it all right at the end?
Of course. I'm happy to do quali. I think I did 2 qualifyings this year, 2 times. I qualified second, which is not on pole, but I guess a good result.
Front row is a front row, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good luck tomorrow, Nick.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cheers. Right, now delighted to be joined by WEC TV commentator Graham Goodwin, an all-round sports car expert and all-round sports car expert. Give me your expert opinion on today's qualifying session. What's the major headlines?
Well, a cracking session for starters in both classes. For me, the big headline in the Hypercar, not just Tota on pole, but that leaves us with a 3-car battle for the World Championship.
Let's go!
Porsche, had they set pole position, would have meant that Tota's number 7 car couldn't do it. They now can, because remember, it's an 8-hour race, more points difference, and we've got a heck of a season finale in prospect tomorrow.
Well, it's quite interesting because Porsche aren't even starting that far up, but when I spoke to Brendon, he seems really alarmed by their race pace coming up.
I think this is going to be a race where incident and accident will play a part, but the biggest story is going to be, and the biggest issue is going to be, tyre degradation. It's one of those boring things we say in motorsport, but it matters so much here. This, in terms of the Class 1 circuits, the Formula 1 level circuits in the world, has got the oldest surface of the lot. The original surface from 2004, 120,000 tonnes of aggregate from Shropshire in the UK. It was brought out here, and it's still the same. surface, and what that means is the tyres are ripped to shreds. It's going to be about which of those cars can manage those tyres, keep up the pace, keep on the lead lap, and get this to the end. Porsche have got a big points advantage, but one incident, and that could be completely all over for them.
Well, let's also talk about the Manufacturers' Championship. From your opinion, which one do you think is taking priority in the Porsche garage? Because bear in mind, Toyota think they stand Toyota do stand a much better chance than the manufacturers, so they've almost put the drivers to the side and they're going hell for leather for that manufacturers.
Manufacturers have traditionally favoured a Manufacturers' Championship. There is another factor in play here for Porsche. Roger Penske's never won a World Championship. Porsche have. Roger Penske never has. What they're going to do is optimise getting a bigger trophy as they can with the minimum risk. And whatever comes to them over those 8 hours, they're going to grab with both hands. Toyota know everything about how to win races in the FIA World Endurance Championship and everything about how to win championships. Porsche have got to snatch that away. They do hold a points advantage in the Drivers' Championship. It's way closer with the manufacturers. That's the one we're prodding in our feet and screaming into the microphone about as we get towards the end of the race in full darkness tomorrow.
And finally on Hypercar, for me, the 99 Proton, very impressive performance, getting themselves into Hyperpole and a very good result. For you, any standout winners or losers, people who didn't really perform?
Massive kudos to Neil Jarni. Fastest of the Porsches, where really you wouldn't have expected that at all. A Porsche getting 4 out of 5 cars into Hyperpole. For me, the shocker was the cars that weren't there. We'd seen Peugeot in a rich vein of form here. They weren't in Hyperpole at all. Alpine, and we expected them, both the form for the last couple of races, to be right up there. They weren't there either, and BMW couldn't quite convert too. That's going to change when we get into the race. Hyperpole is one thing, it's about 1 lap pace on new tyres. This is about what can you do over 8 hours with the tyres that this deals to you. This race is going to go to the team that does the best job on the Michelin rubber.
And very briefly, we have to talk about LMGT3, of course. Number 27 getting themselves in a very good point to secure that second place in the Drivers' Championship. But a McLaren won too. How phenomenal!
There is one story from Hyperpole in LMGT3 and only one, and that is that McLaren not only sets pole position, but they swept the front row for the first time for any make in the championship, and it's a deep field. They did so by 0.02 of a second between the two cars, with 2 real bronze drivers here, and they did it here in Bahrain, where so much of the financial backing for McLaren comes, and where there is a factory at the gates of this circuit.
There is, yeah.
That is a massive fillip to what will likely come next for McLaren in the FIA World Endurance Championship. And if you want to find out what that's going to be, stick with the FIA World Endurance Championship on social media, because I don't think we're going to have that long to wait. Maybe a few months, but there's exciting things coming from Woking and from Bahrain.
What a tease to end that on. Thanks so much for joining us, Graham. Appreciate it, and good luck for the race tomorrow.
Thank you.